No.
We're sending a recording and a follow-up email?
Yep, we're live on YouTube.
Hey, YouTube! Hi, guys. All right, let's get going, Heather.
All right.
Do we have it?
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Recording in progress.
All right, hello everybody. Let's give everyone a second to jump in. I can't wait to get going today. This is going to be a good one. We're going to cover so much, man, in such a short amount of time. So let's just give everyone just like 15 seconds to jump in and we'll get going. In the meantime, the chat room is open. So if you guys, let me see if the chat room, let me know where you guys are from in the chat room. Here we go. Hello, Brooklyn. Hello, Atlanta. Hello, Roswell, LA, Jersey. Wow. Love it. Everywhere. Toronto, international. Good. And hello, YouTube. I know you guys are watching as well. Just a quick note. I know that some people might have to jump off of this, so we will record this and send this out to everybody that signed up. We'll also summarize the highlights of the call in an email, so you'll get all the information. I mean, this is going to be like a full-blown masterclass in planning and strategies for 2025. I'm going to share any and all of my best practices, stuff that I've used over the last literally 3 decades that have really helped me, especially have helped me now that I have 4 children, I'm married, and I have multiple businesses, get the most out of every year. And I just want to say that I've been doing this for 4 years. This is, I think, our 4th year of doing this planning session. We usually do it in mid-December, right about now. And people have gotten a ton of value out of it. So I'm like, I'll do it again. No problem at all. I'm going to knock this out in 25 minutes. And I'm not even rushing because I know this stuff's so cold. We're going to cover a lot in 25 minutes. And I think that everybody here will leave with actionable takeaways that you can implement immediately and carry into 2025. I just want to open up this call before we even get started and say that this stuff matters. It matters. Like, you only get one 2025. You only have a certain amount of summers left. I only have 3 years with my son until he goes to college. Like, squeezing the most out of time is really important, and time is under attack. We're bombarded with like Instagram, social, people like emailing us for stuff, asking us for me. Like, we're just under attack with time in a way that we never were before. And so dealing with it and controlling it the best we can is really, really important. So before we get started, a little bit about me for those that don't know me. My name is Jesse Itzler. I'm in my home office. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday. And I am now downstairs in my home office. You might see some pictures behind me of some famous rappers. This is Run-D.M.C. This is Big Daddy Kane. I actually started out in the music business. I started signed as a recording artist to a label called Delicious Vinyl. Right after I got signed, I was on a show called Club MTV hosted by Downtown Julie Brown. The record label's like, it's all going to happen for you now, Jesse. You're on this big show. They whisked me out to Pittsburgh afterwards to do my first concert ever. And when I got off the airport, the plane at the airport in Pittsburgh, there was a magazine like on the rack of like one of the magazine stores. And I'm like, as a corner of mine, I'm like, that's me on the, what? How did no one tell? I'm on the cover of Rap Pages. Like, that's like an entrepreneur being on the cover of Forbes. And I grabbed the magazine, I'm going to the checkout line, and I'm like, I'm gonna send this to everybody. And as I'm waiting online, I bought like 14 of them. I look at the cover of the magazine and it says, "Are white rappers ruining hip hop?"
I'm getting it closer.
I was the poster child of that. So anyway, my rap career didn't go great. That started me on a journey into other businesses. And I had a very unconventional journey as an entrepreneur. I sold carrot and celery sticks door to door. It didn't work. I had a t-shirt company that didn't work. I had a marketing company that didn't work. I had a record company that went out of business. I had all these businesses that failed. And then when I was 28, I was a guest on a private jet. And it changed my life. I always say that everybody on this call is one idea, one meeting, one referral away from changing the trajectory of your life. It happened to me. I was on a private jet. My partner and I had an idea to start a private jet company with no money, no airplanes, and no aviation experience. We launched a company called Marquis Jet. We grew it to $5 billion in sales, sold it to Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway's NetJets division. Then I started a coconut water company called Zico. Well, I didn't start it. I partnered with a coconut water company called Zico Coconut Water with my friend Mark Rampolla. We sold that to Coca-Cola. I've had 5 businesses that I've sold. I've had a lot of egg on my face along the way. And then I got married and I had 4 kids and my life got even more busy. And I was like, you know, I really need a system. People talk about work-life balance. I need a system to make all this work. So I'm going to share with you the system that I use right now in under 25 minutes. And I broke this call into four parts. The first part of the call is how to close out the year. That's really step 1 in any process of planning, is closing out the year. We're going to do that in 1 minute. Part 2 of the call are the things that I do that everyone on this call can do and your kids can do if you have children to dominate the year. Part 3 of the call is how to actually plan your year. I'm going to get really granular on how I plan my year. And then lastly, number 4, I'm going to open up the call. I'm going to discuss some other strategies that I use, best practices, year over year, that I think will be helpful going into 2025. So we are going to cover a lot in a very short amount of time. It's 4:06. I'll get everybody out of here by 4:30 latest. So thanks for being here. I'm really excited about this. So every business in America, the first thing they do at the end of the year is they close out the year. They have a formal review process where they go through what worked, what didn't work. They go through their goals. Did they hit plan? Did they not hit plan? What do they have to tweak going into next year? And I look at each one of ourselves as the CEO of our own lives. We control the adventures we go on. We control, to some extent, our health. We control what goals we set. You know, it's really important that we take inventory on how we did over the last year. So I really encourage everybody as a first step just to like take a little time and think about like what I do in 2024. Like, what am I proud of? I had a busy year. I took a trip to New Zealand and Fiji with my family. I did rim to rim to rim. I did a 29:29 race. I just had a sweat lodge with one of my friends. Like, I go through all the stuff that I've accomplished, all the stuff that I set out to do that I failed at, and I take a little bit of inventory. So that's just something to think about on your downtime between now and the end of the year. Take a little personal inventory of as a CEO of your own life and go through and reflect on 2024. But the first thing that I do in my process is I close out the year like the CEO of a business would do. And the theme around me closing out my year is very simple. I want to get light. I want to go into 2025 as light as possible so I have momentum as we turn into the new year and I'm not playing catch up closing out 2024. So the theme is get light. What does that look like for me? Actually, it starts in my closet. It starts in my closet. I go through my closet and I get rid of any clothing that I don't want, haven't worn, or is just cluttering up my closet. I want to feel like when I enter my closet at the end of the year, I'm light, man. If there's something in there that I'm like, I don't know, should I keep it or not? Keep it. I say to myself, someone probably needs this more than me. Donate bag. So I have a big donate bag. I clear out my closet. I come in feeling really good that like it's not disorganized. I go to my desk. My desk has a lot of clutter. I'm not super organized. But I want to go into 2025 light. Again, cleaning up my desk, making sure there's no clutter, getting rid of any papers, going to my emails. I want to get to 0 on my email. I'm going to delete all at the end of the year. Either it goes in a file, I respond, or I delete. But I don't want to come back to my office after my vacation in January 1 and have 500 emails in my inbox and all these things I have to respond to. So I go through my emails before the end of the year. I get ready for 2025. I unsubscribe to all the things that I don't need or haven't used. Any apps that I haven't used, I delete them. Like, again, I'm trying to come in light, man, with a fresh start, excited about the new year, feeling accomplished that I put 2024 to bed, and I'm going into 2025, regardless if I had a good year or a bad year, fresh and light. I go through my car, Make sure that my car is organized, that I have maybe a little cash in the car, I have a flashlight, all the things that I need. I have a filing system. I still operate analog versus digital. I'm still writing checks and I keep my medical records on a paper file. So I have a filing system that says 2025 with folders that are ready to go. 2024 goes into an archive and I'm going in super light. I do everything that I can to literally close out the year and come into 2025 excited, ready, and not playing from behind. Ready to attack the year because I've spent the time now over the next 2 weeks literally just closing out my year, taking inventory, and getting ready for 2025. Part of my closeout process is I write handwritten letters. I write thank you notes. I spend about, I don't know, maybe an hour or two, that's it. And I write 25, anywhere from 20 to 40 or 50 thank you notes every year around December. If I'm on a podcast, you're getting a thank you note. It might say, hey, there's 8 billion people in the world, John, and you chose me to be on your podcast. Thank you so much for letting me talk to your audience. Send. It might go to a manufacturer, a supplier, a teacher, someone that's moved the needle in my life, but I'm writing handwritten letters. And the reason why I do that as thank yous is because it's people read their letters. They might not get all their emails. They might have an assistant that filters things. They might not read all their DMs, or everybody reads letters. So I'm a big advocate of writing handwritten letters. When I was starting out in business and I had nothing, sleeping on my friends' couches, when I was 22 years old, I wrote 10 handwritten letters a day. That was my entire marketing strategy as in my 20s. And that's 3,000 letters a year. Now, not all of them are going to bear fruit, but you're planting seeds. So I'm a big believer at the end of the year to write thank you notes to your team, your employees, your staff, to people that you might, with a tip. Take advantage of the opportunity to let people know you're thinking about them. It's really, really important. There's a much different energy that goes into writing a letter than hitting send on an email. You have to write it out, get an envelope, lick it, put a stamp, go to the mail. Like that's a lot different than hitting send. And people feel that, man. They feel that. So this is a really good time to do it. And I trust me. Write 10 thank you notes right in the next week, send them out, and just watch what happens. Watch the response. Send one to your parents. Send one to a coach. Watch what happens. So the first step that I do is I get light going into the next year. I write some handwritten letters, and I take a little bit of personal inventory on what I have to work on in 2025. If you are clicking on all cylinders, you're making a ton of money. You have a great relationship. You have everything's good, but you have something that's broken. You can't be an A+. If one of the spokes on the wheel is out of alignment, but all the other spokes are right. So what I like to do for at the end of the year is a very simple test, and you guys can do it right now. We'll go to step 2 in a second. Is imagine that you took all of the buckets in your life, or everything going on in your life, where you work, what you do, your salary, your health, your relationships, everything, and put it in a blender and blend it all up. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like insanely happy and 1 being rock bottom, where would your number be on a 1 to 10? Are you a 9 happy, a 7? Are you a 2? You don't have to put it in the chat room, but what's your number? And the reason why I love doing that exercise, and you can do it right now, put it in a blender, is because your brain immediately goes to a 10. And then it identifies the 2 or 3 things that you have to work on and takes it down to your number. So I don't know if that happened to anyone in the chat room, but if it did, what were the 2 or 3 things that brought your number down from a 10 to an 8 to a 6 to a 9 to a 5 or whatever? Those are the things you have to work on. And those aren't things that magically just solve themselves. They're things that require work and effort to get improvement. And those are the things that you should say, man, in 2025, I want to get better. I'm going to look to improve upon those things. So we want to close out the year. We want to take a little inventory, get light, write some handwritten letters, do a little test, the blender test, to see kind of what number you are and what you want to work at. And very simple exercises that don't require a ton of time that get you teed up. Number 2. These are 3 things that I do to dominate the year. And if you do these 3 things and nothing else changes between what you did in 2024 and what you do in 2025, but you add these 3 things, you will bear hug me at the airport. You will grab me at the end of the year if you see me and be like, man, my year was amazing. I did this. So these are the 3 things that I do to dominate the year. So the first thing that I do is there's an old Japanese ritual called the misogi. And the notion around a misogi, we took the liberty to tweak this a little bit, so our definition, is that every year you do one big year-defining event. So at the end of the year, you can look back and say, like, this year I did this. And it should be something hard and challenging that makes you feel super accomplished. And you should be able to rattle these off year after year. So for example, 2 years ago I did Ultraman, this race, this crazy Ultraman endurance race. I rode my bike across the country with 10 friends. In 2015, I wrote a book called Living with a Seal. 2017, I launched a new business called 29029. Every year, you should be able to have one big year-defining thing. You got to have something to show for your year, man. You got to have something to show for your year. We put so much energy into work. What about our personal life? What do we want to show? What are we going to show for 2025 at the end of the year? It could be, I'm going to launch a new podcast. I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to run my first marathon. I don't know. But you want to have one big year-defining thing. The second thing that I do, and the 3 things to dominate the year, is something that I call Kevin's Rule. Kevin's a friend of mine who was just at my house last weekend. And Kevin and I were vacationing on Mount Washington. Vacation is in quotes. We were camping out on Mount Washington in -5-degree weather with our 2 8-year-old children, who we were sleeping in -40 sleeping bags. It's snowing. There's 8 billion people in the world, and no one else is around us. I said, Kev, there's 8 billion people. We're the only ones out here, man. Thanks for inviting me. How often do you do things like this? He's like, oh, man, ever since college, every other month, I take one day or a weekend, and I do something I normally wouldn't have done. What do you mean? He's like, well, instead of watching the Georgia football game, I might take my kids fishing a couple hours. I might go to a lecture, or take a class, or go to a museum, take a little mini adventure. I go, what do you mean? He's like, well, if you can't take one day every 8 weeks, your work life is out of balance. And then he goes, but if you do that, and say you're 30 years old, and every year you do Kevin's Rule, you plan 6 mini adventures, one every other month, 6 days out of 365 days. If you're 30 and you live to be 80, you'll have 300 mini adventures that you wouldn't have had. You'll have 50 year-defining things, misogis, and 300 mini adventures. That's an incredible life, man. Now, these don't have to be things that cost money. Mount Washington costs $18 to park. This country that we live in has the best rivers, hiking trails, oceans, lakes, races, events, free polar plunges, Coney Island. I mean, all these things. There are so many things that you can do that don't cost money in this country, or a lot of money, that you can find things to fill out during the year to fill up your Kevin's Rule. I just had a sweat lodge. I invited 12 friends to come out. They all came over. Friends I hadn't seen in a while, for this little mini sweat lodge, Kevin's Rule trip. Just had my last one of the year, my 6th one of 2024. So you want to have one year-defining thing, a misogi, and plan 6 mini adventures. And the third thing that I do to dominate every year, and by the way, I've been doing this since I'm 22 years old. Literally sleeping on couches. I was going to the polar plunge at Coney Island at 22 years old. I was going to lectures at 22 years old. I was planning marathon races at 22 years old. You know, I was doing something insane every year, and it builds an incredible life resume. It doesn't happen unless you plan it. As you get older, creating newness is really hard. Where does newness come from? We live in routine. The way that you get newness is you plan it. You have to be aggressive with your planning. We'll get to that in a second. The third thing that I do to dominate my year, I have my Masogi 1, big event, year defining, 6 mini adventures, is instead of doing New Year's resolutions, which for me just have never worked, I throw them out after like a couple of weeks. What's worked much better for me is every year I create 4 winning habits, 1 a quarter. I add 1 new winning habit to my lifestyle. So maybe I don't drink enough water. I'll add 100 ounces of water a day I'll drink 100 ounces of water a day. Or maybe I add a 10-minute a day meditation practice. Or I'm never going to be late to a meeting. Or I'm going to return every email before the end of I don't know. But we're a product of winning habits, winning routines, and winning mindsets. So if you could layer in a new winning habit that's sustainable, 1 a quarter, at the end of this year, you'll have 1 year defining event, 6 mini adventures, and you'll have 4 new winning habits. That is the foundation for an incredible year. Now, am I spontaneous? Very. I'm adding stuff on top of that. But the reason why this is important is, and we'll get to how I actually plan in 1 second. Most of us play life on defense. Our calendars fill up with other people's requests for our time. And now, like I said earlier, time is under attack. We're getting bombarded with requests. When I was growing up, if you want to make plans with me, you had to tell me face to face or call me on my landline. You couldn't text, email, send me it didn't work like that. So I had more free time. Now I'm getting bombarded with stuff, and my calendar's filling up with other people's requests for time. I flipped that model upside down. I play life on offense. All right, which leads me to my planning system. So I'm going to get really granular on exactly how I plan the year, but the foundation of this starts in December by closing out the year and getting light, getting momentum into 2025. It's built upon the principle that I'm going to add 1 year defining thing, 6 mini adventures, and add 4 winning habits. That alone is I'm not asking you to that's a simple thing to do. And then we actually have to plan. So I'm going to get really granular on how I plan the year, my year, and then I'll flip into other strategies that I think will really help people and hopefully get done with this in 8 minutes. So I'm visual, and I'm sure some of you might know, but I put everything on a calendar. This is my big ass calendar. And when I first start out planning my year, it looks like this. There's nothing on it at all. This is my 2025 calendar, already filled out. So I put everything that I have. By the way, we sell this calendar. If anybody, it's called the Big Ass Calendar. If you don't have the Big Ass Calendar, the link is in here for anyone that wants one. If you don't have it, use it. I really suggest you use a paper calendar. I think that scrolling through your phone is really hard to get the big picture. And what I love about this calendar is you see all 365 days on one single piece of paper. So we have the dates going this way and the months going this way. And so the first thing that I do is I put everything down on my calendar that I want to do. If I know what my Masogi is, it goes down. If I have some trips that I define as a Kevin's Rule trip, it goes down. If I have races I want to run, it goes down. I do a lot of public speaking. Any speeches that I have, they go down on my calendar. And what I do is, I love stickers, so I get color stickers, each representing a different thing. So stickers like this, and each represents a color represents a different category. So for example, green is my speaking, red is my travel, orange are my races, and it helps me identify what I have, and I start putting it on the calendar. things that I have that are kind of TBD, because this calendar is dry erase. I use a dry erase marker, or you can use a pencil on your calendar. So you have flexibility to change it if anything changes. And as things that are important to me come onto my radar, like maybe a Kevin's rule or maybe some spontaneous stuff, I keep adding it to my calendar. Here's why that matters. Once it's on your calendar, you have permission to say no to other things that come at you. You're prioritizing yourself. And that's friggin' important, man. I'm not saying say no to everything, but you have to aggressively plan the things that you want to do. So I start to layer in things onto my calendar as they come. Now, I keep my day-to-day appointments, Zoom calls, and everything like this in my phone. I don't not use my phone. But the things that I am working towards, that I'm excited about, that I want to see come to fruition, they go on my calendar because I can track towards it more easily. I can see where I have gaps in my time, and it allows me to kind of, make a master plan around my year. So when I'm planning my year, I'm putting everything down on my calendar. Now I'm married, so I coordinate that with my wife. I even put my kids' stuff on that calendar. I put down last day of school, first day of school, spring break, trips, all that stuff, recitals, that goes onto my big calendar. And then I put it on my wall, and I'm constantly looking at it. The stickers I can move around and adjust as I see fit. Then I translate it into my planner. I put the exact same thing on my planner so I can bring it with me when I go. But the foundation is always the same thing. Putting the stuff that you want to do on your calendar first. It is so important. Listen, the years go like this. Like, you don't need me to tell you life goes fast. We all know life goes fast. But like, no one here signed up to be the 80% version of themselves. Like, at the end of the road, when we're 90, we don't be like, yes, man, I was a B minus. I was 80%. No one wants that. We have to aggressively plan the year. So for me, my tools are a calendar and a planner. That's how I operate best. My phone automatically gets my meetings and my alerts and all this, but I can't track it. And the other thing I love about this is at the end of the year, I can look back, and I have 5 years of this, and I can see exactly what I did. It's hard to remember what you did. I can see exactly where I spent my time and what I did. So, in a nutshell, that's how I do it. I close out the year, all right? Very important. I put my I make sure that I have those 3 important things to dominate the year. I call them the Sogi, Kevin's rule, and then my winning habits that I'm adding. I actually plan on paper what I want to do. And I constantly update it. And I'm really aggressive of looking for adventure. When people talk about being rich, they talk about money. But an important element of being rich is being time rich. Being time rich. I mean, that's what you work for. And I was time rich at 21 when I was sleeping on my friends' couches because I aggressively plan. If you don't plan, it won't happen. So before I go into some strategies I want to share that I think will be really helpful for 2025, a couple of quick talking points. For those that are looking for any kind of events in 2025 and want to join up with me and our team, we have a couple of really exciting things. And Andrew, maybe you could slide this into the chat room. But on January 25th and 26th, we'll be at the Clearwater Marathon in Florida. We are setting up our sauna village there. Very reasonably priced marathon. But our company, All Day Running Company, sets up a village of saunas and cold plunges, and there's all distance races. There's a half marathon, a 5K. I think there's a 1 mile for kids. There's a marathon, and it's amazing. We also host an event that's one of my Kevin Rule trips every year called Running-D.M.C, which is a 3-day festival in Rome, Georgia, on September 12th and 14th. And there's information in the chat room, and if you don't mind as well, you could put it in about Running Man. I haven't checked how am I doing, by the way? I'm just blabbing here. How am I doing? Am I doing okay? Is this helping in any? I'm just sharing what's worked for me. I have no idea what other people do. I just know I have a crazy life. I get so much done, and I have a system, and this is the system, and it's not really hard. My weapons are a calendar, planner, and a pen, and an open mind to have adventure. And I want you guys to get excited about 2025 and be like, I don't care if 2024 wasn't great. Let's make 2025 great. Let's plan a great year. This year is insane. It's already done. I just got to follow the script. My year's baked. And it's so exciting because I planned it. And, I know a lot of people like, oh, well, you have money. I get it. Yes, that makes it easier. But it doesn't mean you can't do it. I'm not taking trips to Antarctica. I had my friends come over and I built a sweat lodge hut in my backyard. I mean, get creative. What else do I have going on? Oh, I have a program called Adventure Club for any business owner, leader that wants more one-on-one stuff with me. I would be remiss not to mention it because people have asked me about this. It's called the Adventure Club, and I'll put a link in here too. We go on 3 insane adventures a year, and there's monthly business calls, and you can learn more information by emailing the link. There you go. We're having a call on Friday about it if anybody wants to join at 10 a.m. and you can learn more. All right, so here are some key strategies that I think are really important that Sara and I do. I'm about 6 minutes over, but give me another 4 minutes. So being efficient is really important. And my wife, who's pretty much the only person that calls me on my phone would ring in the old days, like a year ago, every hour. Jess, it's Sara. Hey, did you get Tepper's friend birthday present? No. I'll be like in the middle of like writing a speech. I have to come to a hard stop, answer the phone, be like, no, Sara, I didn't get the present. I make a note of it or a mental note, and then have to ramp from 0 all the way back up to 100 in my creative process, and then the phone would ring again. Hi, sweetie. Where do you want to go to dinner tonight? Sara, I'm in the middle of writing a book. I don't know where I want to go to dinner. Okay, we'll talk about it later. 5 minutes later. And finally I said, Sara, listen, make a list of everything you want to talk to me about. Make a list. And then let's meet once a week and go through the list instead of calling me all the time. So we have weekly check-ins. Game changer. Because we can quickly go through everything, update our calendars, go through the questions, and I'm not going back and forth on stuff that like we can handle quickly on a call. So one thing that we do to be efficient is we have weekly meetings. Really, really helps. I'm telling you. The other thing that I do is, people talk about evening routines. Morning routines. I'm a big believer in morning routines. Mornings, in getting momentum in the morning is really important to me. Creating early morning wins, really important to me. I'm a bigger believer in evening routines. So my day starts the night before. The top CEOs in this country have multiple assistants. They wake up and they get, here, you gotta be here at 11, 9, you gotta be here, and they look at their list of the day. We don't have multiple assistants. So we have to make our own list. So the night before, I go over and make a list of what my next day looks like in time and priorities, and I'm effective. You can't wake up and wing it. The competition's too good. You can't wake up and wing it. The competition's too good. So the night before, evening routine, lay out your agenda for the next day. The other thing that I do is every Sunday night, I look at my entire week in advance. I actually write it down in my planner. I know it's in my phone, but I like to see it in paper. By the way, if you guys don't have this planner is insane. This is our new planner. I've been working on this for a year with my team. It has a friggin' whiteboard in the back. Check this out. Whiteboard, see that? Now you can put your daily to-do list on here. I have transferred everything from my calendar to this planner, and it's amazing. Anyway, Sunday night, I go through my whole week. I write everything down in my planner so I can prepare for the week. I know what's happening, way more efficient than my phone, but I can also move meetings around and reschedule things. So at the start of the week in 2025, get ahead of it. Look at your week in advance. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? The other thing that I started doing that really helped me is I started putting, thinking in terms of weeks, not days. So let me give you an example. I'm a runner. And I'm like, I'm running 5 miles a day, every day of 2025. But then my kid gets sick, I gotta go to school, I miss a day. And then I failed and I'm done. I started thinking in weeks and saying, instead of that, I'm gonna run 35 miles this week. So if I miss a day, I'm setting myself up for success. I can make it up over the course of the week. So thinking in terms of weeks, not days, really good strategy. I take one-on-one trips with my kids. So another thing that I plan is if you have children, oh man, I just took a one-on-one trip with my daughter to New York City. Incredible. Unbelievable. And I came home and I said, I'm doing that more often. So one thing that I do when I plan my year is I coordinate one-on-one trips with each one of my kids. It might even just be a dinner date, but I'm doing something isolated alone with each one of my children. Really important. I plan date nights with my wife. We have a running date night, which is Wednesday night. If I'm traveling or she's traveling, then obviously we can't do it, but we'll try to regroup. We don't beat each other up about it. But Wednesday night, when we're both together, dinner night, date night. So that's really important. So date night, weekly meetings, really important. Weekly Sunday nights, looking at my stuff. Own evening routines in addition to morning routines, and making sure you have a good, clear picture. One-on-one trips, really, really important. And then the last thing I would say is, when I was a kid, I took a multivitamin. It was one pill that had 800% of the daily allowance of everything you could ever imagine, every vitamin or nutrient. And they're like, yeah, the vitamins are really good for you. You check all the boxes with the vitamins. Here's a great exercise for everybody, and I'll leave you with this. By the way, Taylor, Andrew, can you put the link in for the planner? I'm not in the chat. So if there's a link for the planner, I see some people are mentioning the planner or the calendar, that would be good. So take out a piece of paper or write it on your whiteboard, on your planner, and make a list. If you had a day where you could do anything you want in a day, what were the things that you love to do? It's for me, I love to sauna, I love to bike, run, swim, go for a walk with my wife, play with my kids, I like to read. Put it all on the list. Those are your vitamins. Those are the things that make you strong. And every day in 2025, try to take one or two vitamins. Take one or two things off of the list and prioritize yourself. Because when you do that, you show up better as a husband, as a wife, as an employee, as a boss, as a friend. You just show up better when you check the U box. If my wife took away those things that I love to do, because she, for whatever reason, was, we wanted to go to, let's say we want to go to an opera, and because of that, I would resent her, or I would resent my boss. But if I do those things, and now you want to go do, of course I'll do it, because I checked the me box. And that's a really important thing. If you guys are spiraling at all, and you want to put a stop pin in it, and get momentum, start to do things that make you feel good. Start to do things that you like to do, regardless of your circumstances. It's a really easy way to kind of, flip the model upside down. The me box, man, the me box. Well, I went a little bit over, but I hope you guys got some value. We covered a lot. Anything I need to cover, Taylor? Alex? No? You guys want to come to a fun event? Come to Running Man. It is app. You're looking for something to put in your Kevin's Rule or Misogi? Running Man. Other than that, I hope you got some value out of this. We'll send a email summary of the call as well as a recording of the call to everybody that had a jump and everybody that participated. And I just hope you guys have a good 2025, man. Don't take this lightly. These years, they're not free. They're not guaranteed. like, you don't get them back, and you don't get a lot of them, and you never know when you're not going to get any of them. And you never know when you're not going to get any of them with the people that matter the most. So take advantage of it. Be aggressive. Be an aggressive planner. Get excited about the possibilities. And be like, man, I don't care about 2024, man. We closed that out when we got light. Let's get into 2025 and attack it. All right? Good luck, everybody. Have a great year.
We're still live for YouTube if you want to say bye.
Hi, YouTube. Yeah. You know, just sharing some best practices.
A lot of people got the calendar and the planner.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
And they're all saying thank you.
Awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And these are my notes for the call. There's nothing on the back.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.